We're now going to hear from Catriona Campbell, Partner and Chief Technology and Innovation Officer at EY UK and Ireland. Over to you, Catriona.
Thank you very much indeed. Am I on? Am I loud and clear? Jolly good. Good morning, everyone, and just such an honour to be here. Thank you very much to The Economist for convening these incredible people here. As a photographer in the room, is that right? I hate photographs myself, so if I can just pose very quickly. That's the one you use, right? Okay, cool. Thank you very much. Yes, as was said, I'm Catriona Campbell, CTIO of EY for UK and Ireland. I'm not going to use any slides. I'm just going to make you listen to me. I'm responsible for, amongst technology and all of the emerging technologies, for some really exciting emerging tech for EY internally and also for our clients. And one of those is quantum technologies. So my background is in human-computer interaction, or HCI, and I'm sure many of you are familiar with HCI. That's the topic of my talk today. It's about putting humans at the center of emerging technology and also quantum technologies. Now, in case you're not familiar with HCI, which I hope you are, I'm going to give you a very, very quick intro. So HCI is the field that merges psychology, technology, and ergonomics, and ethnographic studies. And what that effectively means is that you're building technology with humans at the center. You're tapping into mental models about what humans actually expect and need from the technology, and you're translating that to the developers who create the code and develop the hardware and software for those techs. So incredibly important to me, and during the dot-com boom, another emerging technology, that of the internet, in the early noughties, I started an agency in the UK, which became a big global organization doing HCI-based technology design and sold it to EY. Hey presto, here I am. Since the early days of the kind of Wild West that was the internet, I've worked on hundreds of client projects, big and small, helping organizations like Skype design Skype, the UK government systems that we all know and love in the UK, I hope. And also, I've helped design 10 online banks around the world, being a bit of a focus for me personally. Now, I think quantum technologies, as my previous colleagues have said, is going to bring about a step change and supercharge business processes, and you've already referred to electric vehicles. Thank you very much, Jonathan. And we heard about drug discovery as well, and Jack, all of the use cases you talked about. But in order to get a sense of how the UK businesses are adopting technologies, quantum technologies, we decided to commission a rather large survey. And so we commissioned a soon-to-be-launched survey, and we asked the FT's research agency to help us. And I'm going to run through some of the highlights, because I think it's important that we all know that we've got some quantitative proof that we're all doing the right things. So first, in the survey, it's important to ask the right people the questions. So we engaged people working in quantum roles across the UK in mid-cap and large organizations. So the results are coming from people who actually know what it is. And we wanted to understand from those people, really, what was really happening in quantum right now. And the respondents all told us that this is a formative stage for them in their organizations. And there are a variety of priorities and challenges affecting those organizations across different industry sectors. Now, importantly, whilst many observers in quantum believe that the commercial viability is still many years away, we've discussed that, nearly 48% of respondents said they actually think that this will have an important role in their organization by 2025. So not as far away in quantum experts' opinions in organizations as some of us expected. Most organizations, in fact, told us in the survey that the next 1 to 2 years is increasingly critical for establishing proof points and strategies, because they have a clear expectation that quantum computing will be transformative for their business within the next 3 to 5 years. So that is quicker than expected, and really exciting that we have quantitative proof from British business that this is something they are all focused on now. 64% of organizations who completed that survey think that quantum is going to disrupt their sector, and to a high extent in the next 5 years, 97% think the UK economy will be vastly differentiated by quantum technologies. So, You'll also be really pleased to know, this is my favorite stat in the whole thing, that only 3% of our respondents believe that quantum computing is unlikely to be on the agenda for their competitors, which supports this widespread interest. So only 3% think that other people aren't doing it. So what do we think about this survey? Well, we're going to launch this survey in the next week, and we think it really is going to serve as a wake-up call. It's quantitative proof that quantum technologies are essential for the UK economy and British business. But there are some variations between industries and quantum readiness, and so I think I'd like to spend a little bit of time now talking about some use cases. So I said at the start, I'm going to talk about humans at the center. And for me, that's always been imperative. So I've spent a long time creating products and services for new markets. And having the right use cases helps us unlock those new markets and really complete that edge for the product. Now, it's only by truly understanding the product and the marketplace that you can really, really understand the impact of a technology. And much like the start, I'm going to take us back in history. I'm going to give you a quick story to illustrate how ethnography, or the study of people in action with technology, is really key. So the history of HCI is a wonderful story to tell. I don't know if any of you are like flying or are pilots, but this is fascinating for me. So in the 1930s, plane technology was really in its infancy. We'd only just moved to closed cockpits, believe it or not, in the 1930s. And the joystick that we used to control the plane was merely a wooden rod. And so this thin wooden stick wasn't incredibly effective. So as planes got faster and dogfights started becoming more dangerous, cockpit technology became more sophisticated. Dials became larger and easier to read. Helmets had pieces of sponge put in them to stop the sweat going into pilots' eyes. But my favorite one that plane designers started working on with their pilots was that control stick. Now, as they were getting nervous, of course, their hands became clammy, and they weren't able to hold the joystick effectively. So the ergonomic experts created a molded grip. They also, on the yoke, they created little rotating dials and knobs. Now, interestingly for us, the sound barrier was broken in 1947 by Chuck Yeager in an X-1 plane, and that was the first plane to have this ergonomic grip. So to commercialize the technology inside the plane, it required the psychologist, the ergonomist, the ethnographic expert, and the technologist to work together. And I think to commercialize quantum faster, we need to think, who are our pilots? Who are our users who are going to interact with quantum technologies? And how are we going to get their feedback, harness that feedback, and create the new products and services? Another major challenge that was identified in the survey was talent, Jonathan, just like you said. On average, across the organizations we surveyed, accessing talent and the difficulties associated with integrating computing legacy IT systems with quantum technologies was seen as a significant challenge. Now, in terms of prioritizing for the future, our survey respondents said we need to get the right talent in place, and a talent ecosystem is what it will take. Now, I think there are a number of barriers to adoption, but getting the talent right and educating your buyers, your business leaders, as well as driving the talent through the universities and academics will be really important. So let's not forget about those business buyers. So how do we do that? Well, the AI industry is really quite far down the road when it comes to this. The UK government's funded lots of PhDs. Universities are producing an incredible amount of AI data analytics graduates. And we've got some world-leading AI institutions like the Alan Turing Institute and the Ada Lovelace Institute here in the UK. And what they're doing is they're engaging with industry. Now, companies will need to upskill their workforces to understand this new and emerging technology. Now, here in EY, I've been very proud that we've been able to sponsor a quantum computing badge that every single one of our 350,000 people worldwide can take, really short quantum badge that can tell them all about it. I also am very, very proud that we're looking in new and different places for our talent for emerging tech, such as quantum tech. And we've recently been launching our neurodiversity centers of excellence all over the world. And that, for me, is really exciting. Getting neurodiversity into the workplace and understanding how we can use those people with those incredible superpowers to further our work. So we're fortunate in EY to have a global community of practice of over 200 quantum technologists just now, including PhDs, a couple of them in the room. Big shout out to them, because this is absolutely their gig. And I'm excited about the practice that we've been building to create our NV Diamond and superconducting technologists as well. But for those companies with fewer resources, I think they can still be successful by focusing their efforts on really targeted quantum use cases. So those use cases where you can leverage your talent just with finite experimentation will be really key. And I think that finding that ecosystem of partners, those academics, those organizations, will be really, really key to that as well. So I'm going to conclude very briefly by saying that I fundamentally believe that through this survey, we have proven that quantum technologies is an exciting place to work. There's exciting survey data for British business to believe that this is not going away. It is incredibly important to us. And I firmly believe that, as we did with the internet back in the noughties, as long as we develop the right use cases with the right human-centric approach and the right talent and leadership, I think that we can leverage the power of all of the great quantum technologies we talk about today to further British business, the global economy, and indeed humanity. So thank you very much indeed for listening. Thank you.